Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post-closing ceremony. My name is Michael Kelly, and joining us this evening from the Australian Army is Lieutenant Colonel Nick Duff. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony around Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. But first, I invite you to please stand and join in with me in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Wing Commander John Keith Douglas. John Douglas was born to Thomas and Marion Douglas of Manly, New South Wales, on the 17th of June 1921. He attended Knox Grammar School and Scots College and later became a salesman for David Jones. Douglas enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force in February 1941 at the age of 19. He showed a great aptitude for flying in his training in Australia and in Canada, where he was sent as part of the Empire Air Training Scheme. From Canada, he went to the United Kingdom, where he was seconded to the Royal Air Force for service in Europe. Douglas was first posted to No. 103 Squadron and flew 25 sorties over Europe in Halifax and Lancaster bombers. He flew with great daring and skill. On one occasion, he was on a mine-laying operation in heavy cloud. Although his blind flying instruments had stopped working, he carried on and finished the mission. On another occasion, he was approaching his target over Munich when his aircraft was attacked by an enemy night fighter. Douglas skillfully manoeuvred his plane into position, which enabled his gunners to destroy the fighter, after which he calmly flew over the target. For these exploits, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. In 1944, he switched to flying Lancaster bombers and was posted to number 460 Squadron for his 6 operations over Europe. During his time here, he was awarded the Air Force Cross and displayed quiet confidence and a keen spirit. Douglas was a man who commanded respect. In October 1944, he was promoted to Wing Commander and made one of the youngest squadron commanders in the Royal Australian Air Force, with command of number 467 Squadron. He flew a further 7 successful operations over Europe with his new squadron in a Lancaster bomber. On the 8th of February 1945, Wing Commander Douglas and his crew flew a sortie against the Dortmund-Ems Canal. Between 10 and 20 minutes after leaving the target, the Lancaster bomber gave a great lurch and had probably been hit by enemy night fighter. Soon the port wing was on fire and Douglas gave the order to bail out. 4 of his crew jumped successfully. There were 3 made prisoners of war and 1 managed to evade capture and got to England. 3 of the crew, including Wing Commander John Douglas, who was holding the plane steady so that others could get out, did not survive the accident. The bodies of Douglas, his bomb aimer and his navigator were recovered by the Germans and buried. They now lie in the Reichswald Forest War Cemetery. John Douglas was 23 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, along with some 40,000 Australians who died during the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told by and here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Wing Commander John Keith Douglas, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. For the going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes this evening's last post closing ceremony. Thank you very much for visiting the memorial today. Safe travels home and good evening.